In this video, we are going to take a look at some unforgettable blunders made by the greatest chess players in history. Our journey begins with Anatoly Karpov, known for his strategical brilliance. He plays against Matthew Sadler with white pieces. Black played e5, he goes with short castle, and black responds with e4. Even though white has an extra pawn, black still has a decent counterplay on the king side, and with the last move, black just attacks the queen. Obviously, logical move would be to move the queen away, sidestep on e3, but black has a decent compensation for material deficit. Instead, Karpov takes the pawn on f7. Black grabs the queen on d3, and Karpov resigns. Moving on to another world champion, Veselin Topalov plays as black, and white responds in this position after queen h5, knight e5. Topalov took the knight on e5, thinking that he would go to some endgame position after queen d1, rook d1, maybe knight e5, d takes e5, and so on, where he has a slightly better situation due to bishop pair.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
But after bishop e5, white actually can win the queen. Knight h6 check. And right after that, black just resigned. Because after knight h6 you can't take it with the queen due to bishop takes h6, and if you capture it with the knight, there will be queen h5, and simply there is not much to do. White has an extra queen. We move on to another blunder made by Boris Gelfand with black pieces, plays against Alexander Morozevich, and after knight e4, white goes rook d4. Simply attacking the knight also maintains pressure on the d5 pawn. Black just plays rook d6, thinking that there are some kind of threats like rook g6 on the next move or something similar, and he just blunders rook takes e4.
Bruh.
He can't capture the rook because of rook h5, and black just remains down a piece, and if black responds after rook e4, rook g6 check, white just sidesteps, goes on f1, not on f3, which is very important because after that there is d takes e4 with a check. So you just need to go on f1, and after d takes c4, white just simply wins a piece. We move on to another blunder made by Chinese Grandmaster Wang Hao against Vladimir Kramnik. In this position, Vladimir on the last move played h3, giving some lift to the king to avoid some back rank issues, and black responds with very natural move rook a2, trying to simply attack the pawn on a4 and stand behind it.
Dude, let me go!
And well, black just blundered queen b8 check. Black has to go king h7, there is no other way, and there is queen b1. Simply attacking the king and the rook at the same time. Black just resigned. Next up we have Samuel Reshevsky as black playing against Lasso Sabo, and after queen e6 white plays bishop g7. As you can see, black's king is really weakly placed on g8, there are many darker weaknesses. After bishop g7 black responds with b6. And here bishop takes f8 was played, and after king f8 they just agreed on a draw. Well, objectively white has an extra exchange, but on another hand, queen h8 doesn't really do much because there will be king e7, and black's knight from c6 will be jumping to d4, which creates a lot of counterplay. So instead of bishop takes f8, white actually could play bishop h6, which threatens mate in 1, black is forced to play f6, there is no other logical way to defend it, and white simply wins by playing queen g3. Attacking the pawn on g6, which leads to checkmate on the next move, queen g7, and at the same time we attack the rook on b8, and white just wins. Next up we have Peter Hein Nielsen, Magnus Carlsen's coach, grandmaster from Denmark, as white plays against Sergei Karyakin, and white's latest move was knight b3. This is a 100th move, and both of the players are already exhausted. After knight b3, simply attacking the rook, threatening to go for knight d4 next, Karyakin just sidesteps with the king on g5 and simply blunders the rook on a1.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Objectively, white is still better, but probably with precise play it should be a draw. But in any case, white just gets the victory in one move. Here comes another magnificent blunder by world champion Vladimir Kramnik. In 2006 he was playing against Deep Fritz. At that time in early 2000s players were playing against these engines, even Garry Kasparov used to play and so on. So after a4, Fritz plays knight e6, bishop takes e3, king h1, bishop takes c1, and knight f8. It looks all logical, but after knight f8, white just threatens checkmate in 1 on h7. Black has to play king g8, then white probably responds with knight g6, bishop takes b2, and there is some kind of counterplay here from white's perspective. Objectively, it should be equal and it should end with a peaceful result. But after bishop c1, knight f8, black here played queen e3, with the intention of self-trading off the queens and using with his extra pawn on the queen side just to get the victory. But after queen e3, white just plays queen h7 with a checkmate. So world champion blundered checkmate in one move. And the last example for today, as white plays arguably the best player of all time, Magnus Carlsen, world chess champion, plays against Mero Gagunashvili, Georgian grandmaster. So after rook c2, Magnus has an extra pawn and plays king f1, but it's very difficult to convert it. It's also good to note that this is a Blitz championship in 2006 played, so the players don't really have much time left. So after king f1, black responds with king g3, tries to activate the king, and because the king is just too active and also the h-pawn is very dangerous, Magnus called it a day and just grabbed the pawn on h5. And after king takes f3, you probably expect that Magnus would just sidestep with the king or play some like rook f1 and just simply make it draw. Instead, he goes with e5.
Huh? Do you honestly think you're f***ing funny?
He just tries to protect the pawn on e5, but he blundered rook c1, checkmate in 1. We're all humans, even top grandmasters are making the mistake, so whenever you do one, don't get too frustrated on yourself and just keep going. Let me know in the comments which one you like the most, and well, if you liked the video, click the like button and subscribe the channel. See you later.